Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here today. Today, we're diving into the world of technology, leadership, and gender equality with a true trailblazer in the field. My guest is Lenka Hlinková, co-founder of Ženský Algoritmus. This is an NGO that has been at the forefront of breaking the barriers for women in technology. Lenka isn't only an advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion, but also a published author and a seasoned project leader with over 15 years of experience. She looks very, very young, but this is true. And an aspiration for anyone aspiring to create meaningful change. From shaping tech projects for global giants like Audi UK to driving inclusive education initiatives in Slovakia, Lenka has consistently demonstrated the power of passion and purpose. Today, we will explore her journey, discuss the challenges and triumphs of promoting gender equality, especially in tech, and we will hopefully uncover insights that can help us all contribute to a more inclusive industry. Let's get started. Lenka, hello.
Hello, and thank you for inviting me, Mark.
It's an honor and a privilege. Thank you very much for being here. I have many times in the past written about equality in pay and equality in salaries and equality in many other things. I was working for the United Nations and I wrote an article in the United Nations magazine saying that a gender score at the head of the United Nations, a gender score of 7-1 is not an accident, that's a decision. Whose decision is that?
That's a nicely said thing, although pretty sad.
It is. But today this is more about Lenka. So please tell us about your personal journey and what made you who you are today.
Okay, so when I was a small girl, I was really good in math and physics, but traditionally I decided to study economics instead because informatics wasn't that popular at the time. But during my university studies, I started entrepreneurship, or I started my own business selling sunglasses. It was the time when people were not that keen to buy online. So I sold so many sunglasses that I could buy a car. And that was my first car. And two startupists noticed me, approached me, and we founded another startup together, which wasn't successful. But it was a great experience, and it was based on, again, e-commerce. But that led me to all the jobs following the university were in technology field. So although I had economics studied, not informatics, but pretty strong mathematics and statistics, I worked in tech for more than 10 years, 15 years, I think now. So, and as I worked in tech, I've noticed so many men and not enough women. So I started my personal project, personal research, that at the end I found interesting, and I tried to publish it. And one of the biggest publishers in Slovakia took it. And it's a book now called Female Algorithm. And that's how also our organization is called. And the reason behind was that sometimes I really had dark times, and I learned or heard a really nice saying that you find your life purpose during your hardest times, because then you can become someone you needed when you were really low. And that's how my purpose started, to help women to discover their potential within technology or management sector. And this attracted many women and men to our organization, and now we are working on a national level.
That's great. That's absolutely amazing. Where did you study? At what university?
Economic University in Bratislava.
Oh, okay. Any life partner, kids?
Oh yeah, so I'm married and I have two kids. My daughter is 8 years old and my son is 5.
Bless them. That's great. Okay, absolutely amazing. We have so much to talk about. Frankly, I am hesitant a bit where I can start because there is so much about you. I mean, you're really impressive. Your LinkedIn profile is very impressive. How did you make it so good? How did you work on it?
First of all, ChatGPT helped me.
Okay.
No, it's thank you very much, Mark. I mean, I think that nobody has ever invited me to a podcast because of my personality, but it's always about the organization, and let's keep it like that, because it shouldn't be about me. But obviously, if some of the things could be inspiring for anyone, let's go for it. So when it comes to LinkedIn profile, I haven't applied for a job for a long time now because I'm self-employed for more than 5-6 years now, and but still I see LinkedIn as a powerful tool, how you can reach potential partners, people who share your values, your goals, your aspirations. So it's tremendous tool, and the easiest way to show up is to have your LinkedIn profile up to date, to have your to have the right keywords, the proper description, nice picture. Hopefully not that better than reality, because I heard that, oh, your LinkedIn picture is actually better than you are in real, but who doesn't have it like that? So,
well, I don't think the person who said this is a very polite person, because those are not manners.
it was my ex-boss.
Good that he's ex.
Hopefully he's watching. No, but so
Okay.
yeah, but and you also show piece of your personality on LinkedIn. So as you can see, humor is one of my tool how to survive bad times sometimes. So let's have it, make it visible, and not just by your profile, but what you share, what you create. If you add value to the society or to the business, it's very important to show it that.
Absolutely. And I definitely insist, for all people that I have chats with about that, I absolutely insist that no matter how things are today, and no matter what the trend is like, even if you, as some people say, they see that LinkedIn is becoming a bit some kind of a Facebook, I say, please keep a professional attire, keep a professional picture. I think this is still very important.
Mm-hmm.
The first impression, which, as you know, actually, first impression is first impression, right?
Absolutely agree.
Great. Please share a story, or the story behind the Ženský Algoritmus. Did I pronounce this correctly?
Yes, but we can use the English naming, female algorithm. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's
So tell me about this. Where does this come from? Where this Ženský Algoritmus and the female algorithm, as you understand it, where does it?
yeah. So as I mentioned,
Yes.
it came from my personal research,
Yes.
really studying where are the differences, whether women's brain is smaller. It is actually than men's, but not less smarter. So it's equally smart, or could be equally smart. So I was really finding the reason why there is a lack of women in technology, and I really studied sources like psychology, sociology, and business stats, and other things that are related to the topic. And when it was finished, one night I went to sleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night with this phrase, female algorithm. It should be it, the name of the book. So this is how the name came up.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And tell me, please, about the story of you building a 26-member team from scratch with zero capital. How does that work?
It's important to mention that I started doing that while I was on my it was on my second maternity leave, and I had my savings, and the savings were good because I worked in tech, so I could afford to risk a little bit. And before the founding the NGO, I started a voluntary organization where we did things for free for women, and I saw it's great. It really brings us purpose, me and maybe 4 other women, but it's not sustainable because women leave us in order to get a job and to get paid. And that's when I started thinking about having a sustainable organization that still fulfills the purpose, but have a sustainable financial income. And civic association was the best form. So that's how it got set up. But the decision came when I was really on my career crossroad, if we can call it that way, the maternity leave, where I really had time to rethink and reconsider what I want to do next. My option 2 was to freelance, and it is still my option B. And I actually did that during having an NGO as well. So it's very important for me to keep one leg in technology still, and if it is possible to combine it with a purpose, then that's ideal case for me.
Great. Okay. So I heard that the key challenge was that with this 2016 member, was that actually you had some colleagues who were leaving whenever they had a well-paid position, right? What were the successes?
Sorry, what was the question?
So one of the challenges is that you had colleagues leaving whenever they were offered a paid job. What were the successes? Those were the challenges. What were the successes?
The successes were, first of all, to manage to secure the funding. So when we received the first grant, that was amazing because I learned to write grant proposal without any guidance. It is information that is not pretty much shared, even without or within the community of NGOs. Everyone is strictly protecting that know-how, how to write grant proposals, what are the rates and everything. So I really tried, and it was there were many ups and downs. So first grant we won was a great success, although that there was also a big lesson because we overestimated the KPIs we can deliver. So we had to deliver the same project twice within the same budget in order to meet the KPIs. But it was a great lesson, and it happened to us only once for the first time. Since that time, we delivered over 45 projects within 4 years. So this is what I see a great success. Another success is that the executive team, we are 5 of us, is pretty stable. So there is no fluctuation within that team. And generally, we have very low fluctuation. So whoever joins us usually stays with us for long. And the third success for me, personal, the biggest one probably, was that after 3 years of being a CEO, I could hand over my role of CEO to my colleague and co-founder. And I wanted to step a little bit back and become a Chief Innovations Officer. Obviously, I have also some other expanding plans my closest circle knows about, but I think that was also perceived by the team that was an action where my ego went totally somewhere on the side, and I saw really a value to make someone shine and grow next to me.
Well done. Excellent. Gender equality in tech remains today a significant issue globally, not in any one specific country. Even here in Switzerland, it's an issue. What strategies or what initiatives have you found to be most effective in bridging the gender gap?
There are many, and obviously it's a complex problem that starts when the woman is a girl. And the way I think it's very hard to find the easy answer to this because it's such a complex thing, and there are so many factors influencing the environment and women themselves and their families and how they are perceived and what the roles they should play in the society. So we are trying to break the stereotypes, equip them, first of all, with the self-confidence, secondly, with digital skills, also to boost their aspiration to grow and to reach for management skills as well. And we start with small girls, inspiring them to aim high. For example, within the Inspiring Girls project we run in Slovakia, and it's a global brand. Then continuing with high schoolers during summer in coding camps and during the school year in coding clubs, where we mix them with boys as well. So we don't teach them in isolation. and we need them to be able to work with boys, because the current situation in Slovak universities, the STEM fields, there are only 7% of girls or young women studying, so the situation is pretty bad. And then when they come to the job market, again, the situation in ICT in Slovakia is that we have only 15.8% of women on ICT positions, which brings us really to the bottom of European Union list of countries. So they need to be prepared for that. They need to constantly learn and be resistant to stereotypes and to break them. Someone has to be the first. So we hope to encourage more women to break those barriers.
Okay, that's great. That's great. How was your international experience, particularly your experience in the UK, right?
Yeah.
How has it influenced your approach to leadership, to gender equality in Slovakia's tech scene?
I think professionally that experience in working in Luton and London, or generally in UK, influenced me the most professionally. When it comes to gender equality, I think as well that was my aha moment, because only when I was benchmarking myself and my own culture, which I came from, to a nation that is much more developed in a way of perceiving sexism, sexual harassment, or gender equality, I could have that enlightenment, realizing, oh my gosh, what everything we tolerate in our society, even in our professional work, when it comes to sexism, that I was sexist. Yeah, I realized I was sexist. For example, by choosing a male colleague that wasn't that skilled for a project for Audi, which was one of my main clients, instead of female designer who was much more skilled. But I thought myself, like, boys are closer to cars, and it doesn't make sense, because even I was, as a woman, working on that account. But you know that there are some stereotypical loops you have in your brain you don't even realize. So that benchmarking, in being in a different environment, showed me that it's not correct. And another thing that really changed me was the way how I was taught that this is not correct by my former manager, who told me, instead of shouting at me or blaming me, understanding, and he had probably very good intercultural management training, or maybe that sensitivity, but he told me, listen, Lenka, we don't do that like this. And he explained me in depth, and I was ashamed as well, but I learned from that a lot, and that humanity in that lesson taught me more than if he shouted at me or so.
Great, absolutely great. Okay. Just at the reflection of what you said, you know that Simone de Beauvoir, the French, used to say, one is not born but becomes a woman. That is the social construction of a woman. We learn how to behave in a certain way. Very often when I have discussions with female partners, like, why do you think, for example, women are not as present as men in high-ranking managerial positions? Very often they tell me, actually, because a lot of women just do not come forward, do not step forward and say, I am a candidate. And that social construction has told them maybe not to. And we need to do something about this barrier. But you would agree with Simone de Beauvoir?
Yeah, I do, because you become a woman by, absorbing everything you see around yourself. And if you don't have role models, if you think that this is the only way how it can work, not everyone has that courage to change things, or will to go through, or maybe just to question the status quo. So it's the easiest way to go within the rails and just continuing how it worked for hundreds of years. Obviously we are still developing, and I can still see the difference in many areas, but one thing I wouldn't maybe, or I would question, I think that women have managerial ambitions. I see it from that how many candidates and participants we have in management academies we organize. So the women who are interested in management positions are there, but there are other barriers like the double work they have to do within the family, or the setup of the company, which is pretty patriarchal. So not only, I wouldn't blame just them. There are many factors in that.
Sure. You have worked with the Ministry of Labor in Slovakia. How has your expertise actually contributed to national strategies for uplifting women in the workplace?
I wish I could say a lot, but I wanted to, and I wanted to try working in a public sector as well. I worked as an external expert for 1.5 years, working on documents that were specifically. I was working on an analysis of costs and benefits of work-life balance for all employees, but especially women, listing all the tools that our law allows for companies to implement so that there can be a work-life balance. And it was pretty analytical document. I'm afraid ended up in a drawer. So the project was finished, and I hope that it's going to be implemented somehow. But I can't tell that this document will change Slovakia, and that's how I decided that it's probably much more efficient if I stay in the NGO sector, doing the change my way. And maybe it's not that, it doesn't sound that great, but it's probably more effective and more tangible than writing documents that I don't know where they end up.
I understand. Thank you very much for sharing all of this. It's really amazing. Time flies with you. I would like to ask one last question. What advice would you give to women aspiring to leadership roles, especially in tech and management? What would you advise them to do?
I would advise them that if they want to be managers, the technology field is probably the best for them to become ones, because in tech, companies already realize that they have lack of women, and they give them space, they give them support. And even men appreciate to have a woman in a team. So it's a great decision, and there is a great potential for you to grow as a woman. Get courage, surround yourself with winners and supporters rather than people who draw you down or drag you down, and work on yourself. Never stop learning, but believe in yourself, because you are good enough now already.
Never stop learning, believe in yourself. You're already good enough. Thank you very, very, very much, Lenka. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time. And I hope everybody watching has enjoyed this session as much as I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark, for having me. It was inspiring to me as well, and I wish you good luck.
Thank you, Lenka. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.